Hello everyone, so I'm super excited for this video. In this video we're going to learn how to build a Disney clone using a content management system, but not just any content management system, one that is based on GraphQL. Okay, so a lot to learn in this video. We're going to learn how to create schemas and models, and then we're going to use that in order to upload data such as MP4 files and JPEG files and strings onto our content management system. And then we're going to learn how to retrieve that data back using queries and mutations. Okay, so queries to retrieve all data and mutations to edit, delete, and create new data too. Okay, so this is what the finished product will look like by the end. As you can see, there is a page, like a home page, where you can view all the videos based on category. And if you click through into a card, you will see the individual item. And if you click play, a video will appear. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. There is a mutation happening here, but don't worry, we will cover that as we go. Wonderful. Now, the only prerequisites that I ask of you before starting this course is to have a basic understanding of JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and React. And whilst Next.js is nice, it is not necessary for this video. So it is going to be a long one, but loads to learn. So I hope you're super excited. I can't wait to get going. Let's get to it. As always, please do give me that sub if you do like my channel, as this really is the way this channel can grow and I can continue to create free content for everyone here. Okay, so let's get to it. The first thing I do is obviously just log in to my GraphCMS. Now I've already signed in, but if you haven't used this before, then please do take the time to sign up. Just pause here and do so until you see this dashboard right here. So now the first thing I'm going to do is just create a new project. I'm going to start off with a blank project as I want to be doing this completely from scratch. Of course, if you ever want to come back here, there are plenty of templates for you to make your life easier too. So I'm just going to click here, and what shall we call this? I'm going to call this Disney clone, a clone of Disney for educational purposes, just in case I get sued, for educational purposes. Great. And I'm just going to click Europe because that is where I am. And create a project. So that should get my project set up in order for me to start working on my schema. Okay, first off, I'm just going to select free forever. So I'm just going to select that plan. And I'm going to select invite later. Okay, great. So here we are on the dashboard. I mean, I know what to do. The first thing we're going to do is set up some schema. The next thing we're going to do is create some content. And then we're going to make our API accessible so that we can use it in our project. So let's go ahead and do that. We will be using the interactive playground as well. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to cover all these 4 points essentially. So just in here is the first thing we're going to do is going to create some schema. Now, the schema that I want to make, I think the first thing we should make is the video, as that's the first thing we need to create really. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a model, and I'm just going to call it video like so. I'm going to let these auto-populate because I'm happy with that. This is looking great. Plural of video is videos, and the API ID, that looks good to me too. We can put a description, but I'm not going to for now. If you are using this in Teams, then perhaps that is wise, as it does make your work more readable to everyone else. And just create. Okay, so now that we are here, perhaps this click don't show again. All I'm going to do is create my video model. So what do we want our video to have? Well, I want it to have a title. So that is going to be a single line text. I'm going to put title. Again, description, I don't really want this. And do we want to allow multiple values? No, we don't want any of that. And then we can also make this field required. Okay, so that we have to put a title in for our video. So that's just what I'm going to select, and this looks good. And I'm just going to click create. Okay, so I'm going to do this first and then we'll talk through it a little bit. So I've just added a title to my video model. The next thing I want to do is put a description. So maybe let's make this a multi-line text. Let's call this description. And then shall we make this required? Let's make it required. So I'm saying that anytime I want to create a video in my, I guess, content manager, it has to have a title and I have to put in a description. I also have to put in an MP4 file, right? Because that is the main crux of a video. So I'm actually going to go to Asset Picker and let's call this an MP4. And then let's also make this a required field. And just click create. Great. So this is looking good. Now what else do I want? I can also have a Boolean. So I can actually select a Boolean of if this video has been seen or not. So I'm just going to put seen. And this does not need to be required. I'm just going to put that as optional. And the next thing we need to do is have a slug. For those of you who don't know what a slug is simply a URL identifier. Okay, so that if we visit the slug, that we will visit the video itself. So let's call this slug like so. And again, I'm going to make it required. And it's already set as unique. That is good. And wonderful. I'm not sure if we do need to do anything else here. We've got the display name, we've got this. We can also have generate slug from template. Let's just have that. And let's generate the slug based on the title, okay, that we give the video. So that is the syntax for doing that. I can of course generate this by whatever I wish. I'm choosing to generate it by the title. And it's going to be lowercase. Okay, and this is looking good. And create. Great. I need to do two more things. So I also want to add a thumbnail. So that is going to be an image. So once again, I'm just going to select the asset picker and I'm going to make it a thumbnail like so, spelling thumbnail correctly. And I am going to say that this is not required and I'm just going to create. And the last thing I want to do is actually add some tags to this too. So I'm just going to select this. So I can essentially put tags to the video so that, you know, like on Disney Plus, you probably have a video that belongs to family, comedy, and so on. So that's exactly what I want to do. Let's call this tags, making sure that it's capital. And this time, well, I want to allow this to have multiple values. So I'm just going to select this and create. Okay, great. So that is our video model. Wonderful. Okay, so our video model is going to have a title, description, MP4. We're going to allow it to be seen or not seen. It's also going to generate a slug for us based on the title. And then we're also going to request a thumbnail to be added to the video and some tags. Wonderful. Okay, we have to actually reference this, but I think let's continue first because that is something I'm going to do last. I essentially want to reference it to a specific user or platform, but let's get to creating the user or platform first. So we've got the video. The next thing I want to do is create a unique platform. Okay, so just imagine that each platform has its specific ID because you want to know exactly what videos have been seen on that platform. So say it's the Smiths family's platform, they're going to watch some videos. If it's someone else's platform, they're going to watch some different videos and so on. So let's go ahead and do that. So once again, I'm creating a new model. So we've got a video model and now a platform model. I'm just going to click that like so. Okay, and what do we want in our platform model? Well, we could have a title. Sure, let's give it a title just so we can sort of identify, you know, as the Smiths families or so on. And let's make this required. So make required field. I'm also going to generate a slug for it. So once again, a slug. The display name is going to be a slug. And then again, let's make this required, but also set field as unique. And great, let's go ahead and create. that. And one last thing, each platform is going to consist of multiple videos. However, I want to reference this video, okay? I don't want it to be the video itself. I want to reference the video. So to make a reference, I'm just going to show you how to do that. I'm just going to click here, sorry. And I'm going to say that I want to define the relationship, allow multiple models to be referenced. So this one right here. And I'm going to, the model I want to reference is the video model. So just like so, it's going to be a two-way reference with one to many, like so. Okay, great. So one to many, that looks good. Allow multiple videos per platform, but don't allow multiple platforms per video. Okay, so that makes sense. One platform has multiple videos, not the other way around. And finally, okay, so this looks good. Let's continue. Let's give it a display name. So I'm just going to call this video reference like so, and give it the API ID of video reference. And wonderful. That we're going to leave as it is and click create. Okay, great. So this is looking good. We've got the platform, we have the video. The last thing I'm going to do is just create accounts. So let's go ahead and do this. Again, I'm going to create a model for an account just like so, and click create model. And what would we like our account model to look like? Well, I want it to have a username, so that each account has a username, which is going to be a required field, make required, and that's about it. The next thing that I'm going to do is want an avatar, because each account comes with this little picture. So let's call this avatar, just like so. And okay, this is looking good. Do we want to allow multiple assets? No, so let's just create that. Okay. So there we go. And one last thing, each account is of course going to be linked with, you guessed it, a platform. So let's do that. We want the model to reference a platform, and it's going to be a one-way reference, one-to-one. And we don't want to allow multiple platforms per account. We just want it as it is. So it's going to be a one-to-one relationship. And continue. Create. Wonderful. Okay. So I think that is all we need to get started in putting our data and assets into this platform, okay? So we've created our models, we've defined the relationships between the models. Now let's get to using what we have built. So let's get to it. So we've completed this part, the schema. Let's move down. Content. Wonderful. Okay. So now that we have done that, I'm just going to create my first item. So let's make this a video. I'm just going to select here and ta-da! So everything that we created in the first part, so in the schema part, you will see I'm being asked for a title, which is required, a description, which is required, an MP4 file, which is required, the Boolean associated with an account or a platform, and then to create a slug, which is auto-generated, and add some tags, as well as a thumbnail. That is crazy. I've literally just built this and it's in front of my face. I'm being asked to put in this data and only this data, nothing else. So let's do it. What should we call my first film? Let's call it Jaws. A film about a shark. Let's maybe make it a little bit longer, just so we have something to work with. A film about shark. This is a classic film that is pretty scary at times and just great in other times. Okay. I mean, I'm not a copywriter. Don't hire me as a copywriter, clearly. Okay, so we've got a title, a description. Let's add an existing MP4. So I'm just going to actually upload the trailer because I don't want to be here forever. So all I'm going to do is drag it in from my downloads. I'm probably going to speed this up because you don't really want to watch this, so... Great. And now scene, I'm actually going to just leave it. I'm not going to leave it as true or false. I'm just going to leave it as null. The slug has been generated from the title for me as we requested. And I'm just going to add a thumbnail. So I'm just going to upload a thumbnail for this, one that I have also just downloaded. And just click upload. Okay, so there we go. And tags, what are we going to put? I'm going to put classic. What else can we do? We can put thriller. I'm not sure this is a Disney's one, but just bear with me. I'm sure it's fine. Let's also do, is it family? It's not really family, is it? Let's put scary. Or let's put drama. And let's put animals. Okay, I'm just going to try to do 4 for each. Again, probably shouldn't work at Disney Plus because these tags don't really make sense, but I'm liking them anyway. Okay, so hopefully you get the gist. Okay, and then once we have everything, we also do need to link this to a platform. We don't have one yet, so I can actually choose to create a new platform from here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's call this platform Smith's Family. So it's whatever they chose to call this platform when they signed up to Disney. And then let's generate a slug. Perhaps let's make it random this time. Let's go ahead and just make it quite random. So this is something that, let's say, we just generated. Okay, and wonderful. So this is looking good. And then, of course, we would have to add video references. So this is essentially saying which videos the family can see. For example, maybe they're in a different region like Europe, that's different to America. And I know that Netflix doesn't allow certain videos on certain networks. So we would then have to add an existing document, but we haven't published this one yet. So I'm just going to save and publish this, everything that we've made so far. And great. So now our video is published, and if we go to platforms, oops, no, we need to publish this too. So we just published the platform, now we need to publish this, and let's publish all of these as well. So everything is now published, great. And if we go into the platform, let's edit the platform, and wonderful. So we have a video that is referenced to as well. Okay, and if we edit it, you will see it's Jaws. Great. Wonderful. And now let's just create an account. So I'm going to create an account. My username for the Smith family, for some reason I'm called Anya Smith. So maybe let's do that, Anya Smith 01. That's the username. And then let's give me an avatar. So I'm just going to upload an image of myself. There we go, and upload. Great. So a username and a headshot. And which platform do I want to associate myself with? Well, I want to associate myself with the Smith family. So let's go ahead and do that and save and publish. Great. Okay, so Anya Smith, part of the Smith family, can see Jaws. Okay, because that is what we have done. We've linked all this up. Jaws is available on the Smith family platform that I, as Anya Smith, have access to. Wonderful. So ideally we would have a lot of data here. However, I don't want this to be all about data uploading. So I'm going to upload 4 videos just to get to the coding part. And then at the end, I'll show you what the platform looks like with a bunch of other data. But like I said, I don't want you to sit here while I just upload, dozens of videos. So let's just do 4. Mulan, a Disney classic in which girl or young woman goes to fight for China. Okay. Now, once again, let's add this to an existing platform. So the Smiths family platform, they can watch Mulan. Let's put in an existing MP4. So I'm going to upload 1, 2 here of the Mulan trailer. Once again, great. So we've got the MP4 trailer, seen, not seen. I'm going to leave that as blank. The slug has been generated for me from the title. So that's really good, all lowercase, and let's add a thumbnail. So once again, I'm simply going to drag that in from my downloads. And then tags, I'm going to put classic here. I do think it's a classic. I'm also going to put family. I'm also going to put drama. And I'm also going to put Disney, because that is a Disney classic. So I'm going to put Disney in there too. Okay, great. And save and publish. Let me just check that we've done all of this. Okay, save and publish. Select all, save and publish. Great. Okay, two more that we're going to make. Publish. Create item, this time Moana. A story, don't really know the story very well, of a young girl who meets a demigod and saves the world. Okay, I'm not sure if she saved the world, but you know what, I just needed something. She saved something. Okay, add an existing platform. Once again, the Smith family platform is going to be linked to this. They can watch Moana. Existing MP4. Let's upload Moana official trailer. So there we go. And once again, I'm going to speed this up. Great, and add an existing thumbnail. So I'm just going to select that one, that looks good. And tags, once again, let's put family. This is a Disney film, so once again, I'm going to put Disney. It's not like Marvel or anything, or Star Wars. Let's also put, what can we put here? We need some more tags, comedy. And let's also have, I don't know, it's quite hard to think of these. It's not really a drama, adventure. Great. So we have all of these filled in and it's associated with a platform. Great, save and publish. Select all, save and publish. Okay, wonderful. One last one, I promise. 4 is really not enough, but you'll get the gist of what we are doing. So Eternals, we're gonna have a Marvel one. I don't really know what this is about either. I just saw it when I was Googling. A Marvel film with, I think it's Angelina Jolie. So I'm gonna put that coming. This is a great film. Everyone should see it immediately. I mean, no one's seen it. I think it's not really even out yet. Okay. Great. So we have that. Once again, add an existing platform. The Smiths family can see this. You could replace the Smiths with like Europe or something, you know, and then have associated accounts with Europe that have users if you want to add in that extra layer, if you really are as big as Disney. But this is just to give you an example of what you can do. Add an existing MP4. Okay, so I'm just gonna upload. And just upload that MP4. Okay, great. And I think we're nearly done. Once again, let's generate a slug, add an existing thumbnail. So I'm just going to upload one again. Very last one now. So just there we go, upload. And the tags we're gonna have for this, well, this is Marvel. And then let's also have family. I'm gonna have adventure again. And let's maybe have action. Or let's put thriller, just because I want to have multiple tags. Okay, so save and publish, and we are done. Let's carry on. Great, so we have created our schema. We've then done the content parts. We've used our content manager to upload assets and data, MP4 files and JPEGs. And next, we can actually see all the assets that we have. So there we go. You can see all the images and the MP4s. This is looking cool. And then let's have a play around in our API playground to see if our data actually comes back to us. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with GraphQL, I'm going to show you how it works in a very crash course sort of way. So let's do it. So to our disposal, we actually have the docs. So this has been generated based on the schema we wrote. Okay, this is really clever. So if you look here, well, you will recognize videos. Okay, and each video, so we can query for all the videos. So if you look here, let's just go a step back actually. Here is what I can do. I can query for things. So in other words, I can search for things in my data using the query word here, or I can add stuff or edit stuff or delete stuff using the mutation. So I'm going to choose to query, and this is really helpful. These docs have been essentially generated for us. So if I want to query for videos, I'm simply going to write query, open up some curly braces, and if I want to search for videos, okay, if I want to search for all the videos, I can do so just like this. And then if I search for all the videos, well, what do I want to come back? I want a video to come back. And this video is made up of, we can have an ID. You can also choose for these extra things to come back. So obviously we added the title. We also added a description. We also added scene. We also added a slug, and we also added tags. But look at all the stuff we didn't add. So created by, updated by, published. Thumbnail we did add. So let's have thumbnail. Thumbnail actually is part of an asset. So these, okay, let's go back a step one again. So I didn't add an ID, but this one's been generated for me, which has the type of ID. We added a title, which was a string. We did choose for that to be a string. Same as the description, a string. Scene was a Boolean, that's right. Slug was a string, again, a required string, hence the, I guess, what's it called, exclamation point. And the tag was strings in an array. So that's also defined for us, that's what's gonna come back. But all these extra things, such as created at, updated at, that's extra stuff that we can get. So I'm just going to go for it. Let's get created at. Let's see what that returns. And then also a thumbnail. Now a thumbnail is actually an asset, okay, because we did choose an asset, and the asset comes with all of this as well. So I could just get the file name. I can also get a height and width of the asset, which is quite cool. And then I can also get the URL. So that is one of the things I wanted. So now if I run this, this is what returns. So here is my data. Here are all the videos. Let's have a look at the first object in here. So that is one object. You will see that the film JAWS or the video JAWS, well, it gave me the timestamp that I created this. It also generated an ID for me so I can pick it out. There's the title I gave it. There's the description I gave it. We didn't set scene, so that is null. It's this slug that got generated for us, the tags as an array of strings, and the thumbnail URL so that I can get the thumbnail. Wonderful. And of course we have 4 of these objects because we made 4 videos. So that is how you would use a query to return all the data that we have. Okay, so maybe let's save this query. We can, of course, like I said, get more. We can get the size of the thumbnail. We can get all of that. One thing we did forget is to get the MP4 actually. And what does the MP4 come with? Let's see. Let's go back. There's the MP4. It's an asset that comes with, once again, I think I just want the URL. Yeah, let's just grab the URL. So there we go. So this is what I want to save. Let's save this query. Okay, so here we go. Those are my queries. And then let's make a new query. So once again, query, and this time I just want one video. So let's go back to here. Let's look at queries, and I just want one video. So here we go, video. So now I need to open up these, and I need to put where. And for where, I need to get the unique identifier of video. So if I want, let's just say I want the Eternals. Eternals have this ID, so I'm going to grab that string, I'm going to paste it here, okay? And then what do I want to return? Well, I can also do it by slug, by the way. I didn't have to do ID. That's what the documentation told me. And then video, what do I want to return? Well, I can actually just return the same things. So if I look at this query and I just take all of these and whack them in here and run this. Oops, why is that wrong? Ah, okay, we wrote this incorrectly. Where I'm going to open up some curly braces and ID, you have to give the ID. Like so. And now run it. Okay, and there we go. What is returned back to us is just the one video, the Eternals video, with all the information that we requested. So all of this, okay? And I can also do it by slug, which is probably a lot more memorable. So slug, and then I'm just gonna put the string of Eternals. Video null, Eternals, how did I spell it? Slug. Let's see what the slug is for Eternals. Eternals. And there we go. Wonderful. So we have created some schema. We've added content based on the schema we defined. We have then had a look at all the assets, and then we've played around in the playground to check if our queries work. And we've saved our queries so we can use them when we start building our project. So now I think it's time to start building our project. Let's do it. Okay. So to do this, I am going to make a Next.js app. So to do this, I'm just going to get up my terminal. I'm going to go into WebStorm projects, and I'm just going to use the next command, which is Next.js create app. Just making sure I get the right command because I can never remember it. Okay, this one right here, npx create next app, and let's call this Disney clone, and just click enter. Okay, so that is now at work. It's going to essentially return back with a project that's been configured for us with a template as well. Oops, we need to install the latest, so let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, great. So now let's get up WebStorm or whatever code editor or IDE you are using. Just gonna get it up. I'm just gonna open the Disney clone project. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this is the command that I need to start this. I'm going to copy that, get rid of that, get up the terminal, and just use npm run dev. And now I'm going to visit here. And wonderful. So this is the boilerplate that it comes with. I don't really like it. We can obviously get rid of all of this. Perhaps let's do that. Okay, I'm just going to keep this running down here. And actually, no, let's just make it smaller. We don't need it now. So now it comes with a bunch of stuff that I don't really want. So let's go ahead and delete it. In the pages, in the index.js file, I'm just going to get rid of all of this. So I'm literally just going to get all of this and delete it. Okay, so now we just have one div. Let's put hello to see if this has worked, but I'm pretty sure it has. And then we don't need any of these for now, even though we might need the next image later on. So I'm just going to delete all of these. Okay. So that is now gone. In the app.js file, the only file I want to keep for styling is this one. We're not going to have that much styling, so I think that's enough. And I'm just going to delete this file right here. Okay, so just the one style sheet now. And we don't really need these either, so I'm going to delete this. Let's keep the favicon, why not? So in here, we've got a fresh start, and in here, we've got a fresh start too. I'm just going to rename this just because this is, I prefer functional expressions. Okay, so that is looking good. And index.js, oops, oh, so we need to export default my app. Okay, and just in here too. So I'm just gonna once again change this to a functional expression. So const home equals, it's just my preference, you could have kept it as it is, export default home. Wonderful. Okay, so now there we go, we see the word hello, and I'm just going to inspect this so we can see it a little bit better what is going on. Okay, so now that we have done that, I think the first thing we should do is worry about getting our data and see if our data is coming in here correctly before we do anything else. So let's do that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get the data. So I'm going to do this like so. The first thing that we need is actually, well, because I will be making GraphQL queries, I need to import the GQL tag to allow us to write in essentially like GQL language and format, and the GraphQL client from a package called graph request. If I can only spell things correctly, request. Okay, GraphQL request, sorry, that's the correct package. And this is what it looks like. So this is what we need, okay? And it comes with a bunch of really useful things. If you want to have a look at it, then please do. Essentially, we are going to be using this syntax to request our data and pass through queries into it as well. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and install this package so we can use it. So let's get our terminal up. I'm just going to make a new tab and do npm I for install GraphQL request. Okay, so there we go, that's installing. I'm pretty sure that's the only package we need, but we'll see. Okay, so now that we've done that, I need to, this is the syntax for getting static props. We're going to get static props, we're not going to get server-side props. So get static props equals, maybe let's make this bigger, I don't know if you can read it, get static props equals, and this is going to be an async function. Right, so to make a, essentially, if I want to get this data right here, well, I would need to visit this URL, and I'd also need a token. Okay, so because we are in here, And this essentially, we don't need a token for this because we're signed in. If I was just to visit this URL without a token, it wouldn't let me access this data. Okay, so let's get a token. So all I'm going to do is go to settings. I need to create a token. So I'm just going to click here, and what should we call this? Ania dev token. Of course, please feel free to call this whatever you wish, and then yes, publish. So create like so. Okay. Internals, and there we go. Wonderful. So now that we have that, and I have access to the published stuff, I'm just going to copy this because that is the token that we need. And I am just going to save it. So for now, I'm actually just going to put it as a string here. We should really save this to a .env file, but let's just check it works here first. Of course, I will be deleting this, so please don't go ahead and use it. It won't work by the time I publish this. So exporting, get okay, and then I'm going to use the GraphQL client. So this is how you would use it. I've just gotten this from the documentation of GraphQL requests, the npm page that I showed you. New GraphQL client, like so, and I'm just going to pass in, so we're going to pass a URL as well as a header so we can communicate with our data. So headers, I'm going to pass through the header, and this is our token. I'm just going to cut that and whack it in here. Of course, let's just try to keep everything consistent. Okay, so maybe let's make this a little bit smaller so you can see. Oh, it's a long token. Okay, so I've got a GraphQL client by making a new GraphQL client. So I've imported GraphQL client from GraphQL request. I made a new one and I've stored it as GraphQL client. I made a new one by passing in a URL and some headers so we can communicate with our database. And as I said, this is the URL that we need to communicate with our database. So let's go back to here. This is it. So I'm going to grab that. We need this with a header so we can communicate with our database. So let's save that as well. Hopefully you see how this works. So let's save this as const URL equals, once again, just make it a string. Okay, why am I getting curly braces? Oh, whoops. Okay, great. So now we should be able to communicate with our database, but let's try it out. So what's the query we were making? Well, const, let's just call it query for now. So I'm going to use the GQL tag so I can literally use the syntax for queries. However, we want to get all the videos, don't we? So I'm going to use this. I'm just going to copy that we made. I'm just going to paste it in here. Okay, that's all I've done. Okay, so there we go. If you want to format it a little bit better, then please do. I will be doing this all later. I don't want to focus on it too much for now, but there we have it. So that is our query, making sure that this is all inside getStaticProps. Okay, so why is this not closed off? Okay. So here is getStaticProps, and inside we are creating a new GraphQL token where we're passing through the URL and the header so we can communicate with our database. Great, and we're saving it as GraphQL client. And then we also have a query, okay? So that is good, we've got a query. The next thing we need to do is actually get our data. So we get our data, so I'm gonna save it as, let's save it as just data for now. And then I'm gonna use await GraphQL client. Let's make this a small g just to differentiate. Await GraphQL client request. So this is exactly what I showed you here, this cool way of requesting data. Okay, I'm going to pass through a URL, pass through a query, and then get our data. Like so. Okay, request, and then I'm actually going to pass through the query, because we don't need to do any of this other stuff because we've sort of already done it there. So just request the query like so. So we're going to get the data, and then once the data comes back to us, well, actually, maybe let's just console log data, see what comes back, see if it works. Huh. Module not found. Okay, maybe let's stop this from running and just install all the packages again. Okay, and just on the project. Ah, okay, that's strange. This apparently solves the issue. Let's try it out. Okay, once again, let's see if that's worked. npm install and save GraphQL as a dependency. Okay, great. So this is looking good. We did not add a return, so let's go ahead and do that. I thought it could just work with me consoling the data, but it won't. Let's return some data. Well, perhaps let's just try without any of this hard stuff. Let's just see if it works on these. So closing tag, closing tag. So all I'm going to do is return, and let's return props. Okay, so I want to return the videos, and I think, okay, let's have a look at the response here. So if I make this query, this will return data, and that has videos. So I need to go data videos. So let's just try that. Const videos equals data dot videos. So it's going to return an array of videos. And then let's just console log out videos so we can see what is being returned. So if I then pass through videos, I'm going to destructure videos like so, and go console log videos. I should get all the videos coming back to me. So let's check it out. And great. Okay, so we have all 4 of the videos. This is looking good. I'm just going to replace my full query again so we can get all the data. So just here, I'm just going to replace it back to what it was and tab it out. Okay. So this is now working brilliantly. We're getting our data. So now that's worked, I'm going to put this in a .env file. I think it's always good to check in here first. So just in the root of my project, I'm going to create a new file called .env. And then I'm just going to grab my token. And what shall we call this? Maybe let's call it GraphCMS token. And then I'm just going to save it. And then also we need the endpoint. So let's just save this as endpoint. And then let's grab the endpoint. Put it in our env file. And then let's replace it in the index file. So to access this, I need to write process env. That's how we access env variables. And I'm going to put endpoint exactly how I spelled it in the env file. And then the same for this. Process env. And what do we call this? Oh yes, that was it. GraphCMS token. Thank you, WebStorm. Okay. So hopefully that should work and we didn't break anything. Let's rerun this. So we need to inject the variables. Okay, and there we go. Everything is fine. Let's carry on. So we're getting the data, we're getting all the data that we need for our, I guess, home page. The next thing I want to do is create a individual page. So this is how you would do so in Next.js. I'm actually going to create a folder. Let's make it on the same level as API. So pages, so in pages. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, and then I'm going to make a new directory called video. And then I'm going to create a new file. And then it's just going to say slug.js. So just like so, add. Okay. So in here, we're essentially going to build another query. We're going to write another query, but this time to get one fill based on the slug. Okay. So that is what we need. Let's actually just put some boilerplate in here. So all I'm going to do is, what should we call this? Let's call it const video. And export default video, just like so. And then just let's return, for now, let's just return a div. It really doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Now to the fun part. Once again, I'm going to have to use these two things. So let's copy that and just whack them in there. And then this time I need to get server-side props, okay? Because we need to get the slug. So export const get server-side props. Okay. This is also going to be an async function, and then we're going to have to pass through the page context. Okay, so this is what the page context does. I think it's always worth showing you instead of explaining this. So if I want to get the page slug, well, actually maybe just let's console log page context. So if I console log the page context and then I visit, so we made a directory called video, didn't we? And then the slug that we used was, let's just do JAWS because I remember how to spell that. We need to do a return. Always get with a return. Actually, maybe it would have worked anyway without return. Let's look in the terminal. Okay, so it did work. So we just console log the page context. And that's what's returning to us. This is all of the page context, all of this stuff right here. But we need to get the page context query slug. See, query slug. So I want the query slug. Okay, that's what I want. And I'm going to save this as the page slug. So if I console log page slug. Now let's visit a different one. What else do we have? We had Moana. Click enter. And then we go back to here and look in the terminal. Moana has been returned back to us. We are getting the page slug. We are essentially getting this. Okay. So that works. We're getting the page slug. Now let's get to using the page slug so we can pass it into our query so we can get the data back. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's do it. So once again, I'm actually going to have to get the URL. So const URL. In fact, I'm actually just going to copy it from here. So we get the URL, and then also, once again, I'm just going to copy this from here because this is how we interact with our database. And then we've got the slug. The next thing we need is the query. So const query equals, and I'm going to use the GQL tag that we imported so we can write like GQL. And I'm just going to get this whole query right here and paste it. But of course we need to replace some of these things. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So in the query part, I'm just going to maybe tab this out so it's more readable. So if I want to replace this, I can't simply go, page slug. It won't work. We need to pass it through as a variable. So to do this, I'm going to open up some parenthesis, and page slug, it's going to be a string, okay, that is required. And then I'm going to pass through the slug as page slug, but this comes from a variable. So I need to put const variables page slug. So if I was to show you how this goes, it goes, oh, we assign page slug a value, then it goes here, oh, page slug is now a variable, and then when we do this, GraphQL client request, so once again, this is just from the npm page documentation, I'm going to pass through a query, which is the query route, along with the variables. Okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you pass through the variables into this query. And then await this, and then let's save this as data. Cool. So now once again, this data videos, that's what I need to do, data videos to get my videos. So what should we call this? Const video singular data video, because that's what I was getting. Yeah, data video. Okay, good. Thought I was going crazy there. Okay, data video, cool. So we're getting our video back, and now we need to return it. So to do this, I'm just going to go return props video. We can return different things as well, but for now we just have videos. So we've only queried for the videos, and once again I'm going to pass through video as a destructured prop, and let's console log the video to see if everything we want returns back to us. So now here, ta-da, we get Moana, and if I change this to Jaws, we get Jaws, and if I change this to Mulan, we get Mulan. So we now have enough data to populate this individual page too. Wonderful. Okay, so I think now perhaps it's time to actually start building out our front end visually with the data that we have. So let's do it. Okay, so which page shall we start with? Let's start with the main page. So this is going to be a bunch of JSX work, but JSX work, by the way. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually just get rid of all this. And I'm just going to maybe add some more spaces so we can see things a little bit better. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually just create a div, and let's just call it app. So we're just going to give it the standard name of app so we can style this later on. And how do we want to style our app? Well, first of all, let's get some details in here, and then probably let's get to styling. So the first thing, so we're going to have a big video. So let's maybe make a div, and let's call it, let's also give it the class name of main video. And in it, let's put an image. So I'm just going to open up my image. Let's make it a closing tag. And then in here, the source of my image is going to be, well, we just want a random video from our videos, right? So perhaps we could do that. Should we do that now? Yeah, okay, let's do that now. So I'm going to write a function here that's going to help us do this. It's going to help us get a random video. So I'm simply going to go const, I'm going to write a function const random video. Oops, not in here. Here. And then whatever I pass through into here, which is going to be all the videos, I am going to, essentially what I'm going to do is check the videos or use return, and then I'm going to use math random multiplied by the videos length. Of course, if you've got loads of videos, this probably isn't the best way to do it, but we're not working with huge volumes here. And then I'm going to use math floor to round this down to the nearest integer. Okay, so that is what I'm doing. So the math random multiply the number will give me anything up to just under the number itself. So if I round that down, it will literally come back with a 0, a 1, a 2, or a 3. And I'm going to pass that back into my videos array to bring back a random video. Okay, so that's what's being returned. So now if I use, for example, random video and pass through the videos, so all the videos, okay, so whatever returns back, whichever video returns back, I'm going to get its thumbnail, and I'm going to get the thumbnail URL. So that gets displayed. Okay, and of course we need some alternative text because we're not monsters and we need to make this accessible to everyone. So I'm just going to get the videos title. Okay, that's going to be our alternative text. Great. And this needs to be closing tag here, not up here. Okay. So this is looking good. Of course, okay, let's check that out. Let's see if that works. I'm just going to go back on the main page. And wonderful. So the random film that got returned back to us is eternal. And if I click it again, it's a random film each time. Okay, great. So that is looking good. I don't know why it's shouting at me, but we'll figure that out later. Okay, so let's carry on. So we've got a random image. The next thing I want to do is actually create a feed. So I'm going to do that. Let's make a div, and then let's give it the class name of feed or video feed. And in the root of my project, I'm going to create a new directory called components. And then in my components, I'm going to create a new JavaScript file. I'm going to call this section, okay? So I'm creating essentially a section component. So const section, and then export default section, just like so. And what's it going to return? Well, it's going to return something that looks like a section. So let's do that now. So what it's going to return is, I'm just going to make something for now. I'm going to return a div that has a h3 tag that essentially is going to just display a genre, okay, and then a video. For now, let's just do on genre and see how that works. So I'm going to pass through a genre like so, and I'm going to go back here, and we need to decide what genres we're going to have. So let's import section from components section. Okay, thank you for that very much. And then here, so I'm going to use the component that I've just made like so, and then I'm going to pass through a genre And what should the first genre be? What genres did we actually make? We have like family, I remember that one. So perhaps maybe let's start with that. Okay, family I know is a genre, so let's put that in here. Let's have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Family is a genre. We also have, you know, Star Wars, Disney. What else do they have? National Geographic, Marvel, of course. Pixar. And then let's have some more of these generic ones. We've got family. What else do we have? We had thriller, I think, and we had classic. Okay. Oh, oops, we misspelled section. This needs to be a capital S. Okay, so we're importing the section, we're passing through a genre as the section, and then we're just gonna show the genre. Okay, so there we go. Ta-da! It's just showing up as header tags at the moment. Let's actually style this up because it's really big and it's a bit pixelated and I'm not really enjoying looking at it. So I'm just going to style this up a little bit before we move on. That is called the main video. So let's do some styling. So in here, we can delete this and I'm just going to go main video. And how should we style it? Well, the width, we do want to be 100 view width, and then the height, let's say it's going to be like 30% viewport height. And then any overflow is going to be hidden. And then let's also give it some margin at the bottom, so there's a bit of space between the image and when the other films start. And also position relative. Oops, overflow hidden. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like for now. I mean, I'm happy with that. I think it's fine. We'll obviously like readjust all this a little bit later and position it maybe a little bit better. The thumbnails I chose weren't great, but you know, what can you do? Okay. So we've got these, let's carry on. Actually, while we're here, let's also maybe give the app some padding. So I'm just going to grab the app, actually just give it some margin. 20 pixels, just like so. And then the whole body, well, the whole body, I actually want to have a different color. So I'm going to keep the fonts like this. I really don't mind. But background color, I'm actually going to give it a hex code that I found earlier, 13151F. Okay, so that's what I want, and all the text from now on is going to be white. I feel like this isn't in, okay, so that's outside of that. I want it to be inside the app. Okay, so we're passing through the sections genres. However, I also want to pass through the videos. So I want to pass through videos into the genre of family. However, I want to filter these videos. I don't want to just pass through all the videos. So I'm going to do so by filtering out the ones I want. So I'm just going to do so here. So const filter. Const filter videos equals, I'm going to pass through videos, and I'm also going to pass through the genre. that we want to filter by. And then I'm going to return. So this is how you filter. I'm going to grab the videos array. This is an array of videos. I'm going to filter each video. Okay, so each item in the video array, I'm going to look at each item. I'm going to look at that item's tags, and if those tags, because the tags are an array, remember, they're an array of 4 things, and if that array includes the genre we pass through, then return the videos. So now, if I do filter videos and pass through, obviously the videos, and then also pass through the genre of family. Can't remember how we spelled it, but I think that was fine. Let's see. Family. So that should work. So let's now check the videos. Okay, so now let's check the videos. Let's see if this has worked. I'm just going to console log the videos and see if the ones with family have been filtered out. Oops, videos. Okay, and they have. I've got 3 that have the tag of family. Wonderful. This is looking great. I'm getting back the videos. So now that that's worked, I'm actually going to make some videos, make some little video cards. So once again, in the components, I'm just going to create a new component. Let's call it a video, or should we call it a card? Whatever you want to call it. Maybe let's call it a card. Card.js. Add, and then in the section, I'm actually just going to copy this, paste that, and then replace this with card, and replace this with card. And into the card, well, what do we want to pass through? Well, I actually just want to pass through the, what do we need? A thumbnail, to be fair. That's all we really need. So thumbnail. Okay. And what I want to return is, it doesn't need to be this long. I just want to return an image, actually, that has the source of thumbnail URL, okay? And then also, as an alternative, the does the thumbnail have a title? I hope so, otherwise we don't have anything to put for the alternative text. We'll have a look in a bit. Okay, I know we didn't add one, but perhaps it comes with one, if that makes sense, with all the ones that we got added. And let's style the card in a specific way. So, card. And let's style it up. So I'm just going to move this all up a little bit. I'm going to grab the card, and then how do we want to style the card? Well, I'm going to make it responsive. So I'm going to say that the card has a width of 20% and a height of auto based on the thumbnail itself. Let's actually also give it a border radius to sort of round it off. So border radius, let's say 5%, and a margin around it so they're not all squashed together. And then let's also give it a little bit of a drop shadow, 5 pixels, 5 pixels, 10 pixels, and make the color just black. Okay. So now let's go, so we've got a card, let's go to using our card in the section. So I'm going to import card from, it's in the same place, so card.js. Okay, so in the section, what do we want to do? Well, I think we should map over all the videos that come back, right? So maybe let's get rid of, or we can, let's just keep that for now. We're gonna have to style this up, so I'm just gonna give this the class name of section for now, because we're gonna want the cards to appear next to each other and not in block. So we've got an H3 tag to let us know which genre it is, and then I'm going to have a video feed again. Okay, so I'm just going to give this the styling of video feed because we've used it. Okay, so I'm just going to give this the class name of video feed, just so we can see each video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the videos and I'm going to use map. And for each video in our videos array, I want to, well, essentially I want to link the card itself. So let's link the card. I need to give this a key, an individual key. So I'm just going to give it the video ID. And then I'm going to link it. So I'm going to use href. Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to go to the videos, or video, sorry, because that's what we called it, video slug. And the slug is going to be the video slug. Okay, so hopefully you can see how that makes sense. I passed through the videos, and for each video, I'm essentially mapping over each item, and I'm creating an A tag that has a reference to this URL, which we've also just created. Okay, so that is looking good. Let me just make sure that I am. Okay, so that looks good. And then inside, I'm going to use the card component. It's a self-closing component, and I'm just going to, well, we want to pass through the thumbnail, don't we? That's what we decided. So video thumbnail. And I think that's all we passed through. Yeah, that's correct. That's all we passed through. Great. Okay, I don't think we're passing through videos into the section, so let's do that. Let's go back in here, and we need to pass through videos for all of them. So videos, for now I'm just going to do all the videos. We can of course replace this later. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there we go. How good is that looking? I am loving this so far. Whee! And it's looking pretty responsive. Woohoo! Wonderful. Okay, this isn't being responsive, but we can fix that. Let's go back to here. So the main video, if any image exists in that, which it does, just make sure to make the width 100%. Okay, there we go. Woo! How good is that looking? In family, we've already filtered out all the videos that have the tag family. However, let's do the rest. So this should be easy now because we've already done all the grunt work. So let's go back to index, and I'm just going to filter videos. I'm going to pass through videos, and the genre I want to filter by is thriller. Making sure to spell it like I did right here. Okay, so under the tags right here on the video. And once again, I can just actually copy paste this. Probably that should be a lot easier. I'm going to filter by classic. I'm going to filter by Pixar. Oops, videos. Videos. I'm going to filter by, I mean, I know we don't have any National Geographic, but it's going to be a sad row. Filter by Disney. And filter by Star Wars. So unfortunately, some of these will be empty. We just don't have enough data, but again, I'll show you what this looks like after I've populated with all the data. So now it's going to look a lot sadder, unfortunately, but at least we know it's working. This is looking good. Pixar has nothing, National Geographic has nothing. So that's why it looks a bit weird, and Star Wars has nothing. But all the rest have a few. Okay. One more thing, I'm actually going to have another section, and this time I'm going to do recommended for you, and this is going to be based on what you have seen. So how to do this? Well, I'm going to use another function to help me do so, and all I'm going to do is do unseen videos. Seen videos. And then I'm going to pass through the videos, and then I want to return back. So once again, I'm going to filter. I'm going to grab the videos array and filter. I'm going to look at each video in the array, and if the video is seen, so if it's video seen, okay, if the video seen equals false, or video seen equals null, because we had null, it's just going to return all the ones that aren't seen, basically that they're not true. So unseen, and I'm just going to do it for this one, unseen, and I'm just going to pass through the videos. So now unseen videos, that should be plural. Ta-da! Because none are seen, we're returning all 4 videos. How cool is that? I'm going to show you how to change scene with a mutation in a bit, but for now, let's actually carry on. So we've done that, we've created some sections. The next thing that I'm going to do is actually create what else do we need to do on this page? Well, we should probably have a nav bar. I know there's a nav bar on here. So I'm just going to create a component. New JavaScript file, let's call it navbar.js. Add. And once again, I'm just going to have const nav bar equals, and then export default nav bar and return a div that we're going to style as a nav bar, but what do we want inside it? Actually, let's try this. Class name nav bar. Let's just do that for now. However you want to spell it, it really doesn't matter. And then, well, let's just, what should we do? I'm going to actually use link for this because I'm going to show you how to link to another page. So I'm going to use link from Next.js. And what I want to do is link an image, which is going to be our Disney logo. So image, and the source of this is going to be the Disney logo. The alt for this is going to just say Disney logo. Doesn't need to be in these. Width, I can set the width if we use these images from Next, so I can set the width in here to be 90, and the height, I don't know, Let's just say 50 for now. Okay. So we've got our image. Let's actually import it so you can use it. So import link from next link, and also import image. So import image from next image. Great. And now I'm going to show you how to work with images in your Next.js project. So I'm just going to go into public. This is where you're going to have to store it. So with the favicon, I'm just going to drag that in here. Add. So now that's in there, I can actually import it to use it. So I can import, let's call it logo. I can call it whatever I wish from, and then we just need the path to it. So I'm going to go into public, and then I'm just going to grab the Disney PNG. Okay, and I'm just going to use it here. Great. So that's our nav bar so far. Let's actually also, well, let's get to using it first. So in my page here, I'm just going to import the nav bar and then import it. Oh, so that's already been done for me. So now if I look here, okay, so we forgot to do this. I'm just going to make this go to the home page. So I'm just going to put in that. That is how we would link it to the home page. And there we go. We have our little logo. Let's actually start this navbar up. So I'm just going to grab that and just place it up here. I think that's where a navbar should go. And I'm just going to give it a height of, let's just hard code it as 80 pixels and width of 100%. Again, I'm not going to go wild on the styling. I don't really think this is a styling lesson. This is more a lesson about using the GraphQL content management system. Okay, so that looks good, sort of. Okay, we will fix that. I don't know, should we add the account now too? Okay, let's add the account. So, actually maybe let's leave that to last. So at the moment, we've got a nav bar and everything looks a bit bad, but we'll fix it. I want to display a single movie if I click on one of these. So this is working, it's going to the correct thing. But now let's actually populate this page with some stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to shut down some of these. I'm going to keep the CSS file and get the slug page up. Okay, so we've got the video. What do we want to happen with it? Well, let's keep that up there for now. So I just want to return essentially an image. And the source of this image is going to be, well, it's going to be the video, whatever the video is, thumbnail URL. So I'm just going to start off with a thumbnail. And then as an alternative, let's have the video title for the visually impaired. Okay, so that's our image with all of its stuff inside. Oops. So we've got an image. The next thing we want is, I guess, the info, right? So let's make another div that's going to hold a We could show all the tags, so video tags. And then we can also show let's have another paragraph with the video description. Okay, and then just a little tag to go back. So just go back a page because we don't have a nav bar in this. There's not one on the actual Disney site, so we're not going to have one here. We're just going to have a little A tag that says go back. Okay, so we've got that, and then we're going to have a button that says play. So have a button that says play. Okay, so there we go. If we look at this, it won't look too exciting for now. There's our thumbnail and there's like all the information and stuff. Let's format this a little bit better. Let's get the tags. And on the tags, I'm just going to use join to make this a string that's joined together by commas. Just like so. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. We've got the description, we've got the go back, and we've got play. The button, play. Button. Great. Okay, maybe let's do some styling. So let's go ahead and do that. How are we going to do this? Well, the first image, let's give this a class name so we can pick it out of video image. Just going to get rid of this for now and put the style sheet over here. So just get the video image like so. Now the video image, well, obviously it's going to have a width of 100% and then also a position of absolute. Okay, because we don't want it to move and we want the info to go on top of it. So I'm just going to fix it to the top. Okay. And now let's grab the rest of this. So I'm just going to grab this and call it the info. So class name info. And let's style up info. So info is going to actually have a position of relative this time and margin from the top. So it's always going to be 30% from the top and margin. I've used view widths and view heights as percentages. I should actually clean this up. I will clean this up when I actually share the code. So just be aware of that, or at the end we'll do a little cleanup session. So margin left 50 pixels, and then let's also have a max width of it so it doesn't go all the way across the screen, but it's always going to be just 50%. Okay, so there we go. That looks a lot better. Again, sorry about the pixelated image. I should really use better images, but there we go. So that looks really good so far. Let's carry on a little bit with the styling. Just going to make this a p tag so that it's consistent with everything else. And then we've got the button. The button, well, okay, the button's going to do quite a lot. Let's give it the class name of video overlay. Just going to grab it here, so dot video overlay, and I'm going to give it a position of absolute. Okay, so at the moment it doesn't do anything, but what I want to happen is if I click on the button, it will essentially show me a pop-up with the video, so just like in the real app. So all I'm going to do is write on click, just like so, and then write a function of what happens when we click on this button. And what I want to happen is essentially I want to set, so I'm going to use state for this. I'm going to say, so const watching set watching equal, and then use state, and it's going to start off as false because we're not watching. Okay, we're not watching when we start this off. Is use state imported? No, we need to import use state from React. Okay, so hopefully you know how to use state. essentially all I am saying is that to start off, the state is false, so this gets set to false, watching is false, but to change watching to true, I can use set watching. And what I'm going to do is say, if watching is true, so if we are currently watching, are we watching? I'm going to set watching to false. Okay, so if we're watching and I click this button, then I'm going to click it to false, change it to false, sorry. And otherwise, if we're not watching and I click it, I'm going to set watching to true. Okay. So I have done that. I've done that because I want to essentially show another component if watching is true. So if watching is true, then we want to show this component or these elements. I want to show the video tag. Okay, this is how you use the video tag, and the source for the video tag is going to be, well, I'm going to use source video mp4 URL, and then we need to set the type to be video mp4. Okay, and then we're going to actually have the video, shall we have, okay, yeah, let's make it width 100%. You can set that in here, or we can set it in the CSS. It is up to you. So 100%, and I'm going to give it some controls so you can see. You can play it and so on and stop it from playing. Okay, so let's check that out. Now if I click play, okay, the trailer shows up. Wonderful. How good is that? We of course need some styling, and we need to figure out a way to, you know, hide it. So let's carry on. But at least this works. This is looking good. We don't need that much space for the styling. So when we are watching, we want to show this. However, when we are not watching, well, we don't want this to show up. We have to do two because of the way I've done this. So if we're not watching, then we want the image to show up. And also if we are not watching, so not watching, bang, watching, essentially not watching, then we also, if we're not watching, then we want this to show up. Otherwise, when we are watching, we want that to show up. Okay? So that looks fine. And then do we need to style this? Yeah, okay, fine. Let's refresh that. Play. We're watching, and then we want to click off it. So let's do it. If we click off it, like off the image, then it should disappear. So for this, I'm actually just going to add a footer. So just below here, let's make it a div, class name, info, footer, and then let's style it up. So let's make it quite large, info, footer. Let's give it a height of 100 VH. Now, if we click, so on click of this, well, what do we want to happen? Well, once again, if watching, this time, if we're watching, then set watching to false. Otherwise, null. Okay, we don't want to start the video if we click the footer. Okay, we don't want anything to happen. So that is looking good. Let's check it out again. Play the video. We could make it autoplay if we want. And if we click here, then we go off it. Video, no video. Video, no video. Looking great. I mean, this is looking so good. I'm really happy with it so far. Okay, wonderful. So we've done this. Now it's time to do two more things before we really get to styling this up fully. So I need to do two things. Let's get the account info up, and then I'm going to show you how to make a mutation to change the scene from false or null to true. So let's do the avatar bit first. So we don't need this for now. I'm going to make a new query in here. So we need to rename this something. Let's change this to, oops, not in this one. This is where we need to make a new query. So we've got a query, but I'm going to change this to videos query. And don't forget to change it here too. So we've got one query. However, we need another query, and that's to get the account details. So const account query equals GQL. I'm going to use the tag. Now, how do we query an account? Let's go back here, and I'm just going to make a new query. So again, we can use the documentation for this. So let's look at the queries available to us. So I'm just going to write query, and this time we need to query an account. Okay, so I'm going to query an account, and then where. So this time we're going to search for an account where ID is, and then we need to get the ID of my account. Okay, so this is how we're choosing to do this. Of course, you could do it however you wish. So if I actually look in here in my content and I look at the accounts and I just have a look at this one, I can see that this is my platform that I'm associated with. However, what is my ID? Here is my ID. So I've just copied that. Let's go back in here. I'm going to paste that. And what do I want returned back to me? Well, I really just want my username and avatar. So I think that should be it. Username and avatar as an asset. So I need its URL. So if I search for that, there we go. So that is the correct query. Let's carry on. So all I'm going to do is paste that query like so. So we've got our query. So I'm just going to use this again. I'm going to essentially get our data, except we shouldn't call it data again. We can't use data. Let's maybe call it account data. And I'm going to use await GraphQL client and request. This time I'm going to request the account query. Okay, and whatever comes back, well, we know that it's going to be account data dot account, because we just saw it here. Account data, which we've saved to data, which we saved as account data, account, and that's what we need. Okay, so now that we have that, let's actually return it and pass it through into our component, so account. Okay, great. So we have the account. However, I'm actually going to pass through this account into the nav bar. So account, just like so, because that's where we want to use it. We want to use it in the nav bar. So now let's get our nav bar. I'm going to pass through the account, and now let's actually use it. So here we have our nav bar again. We've got this link, but then let's also have some account info. So I'm just going to make another div, and then maybe let's call this account info. Oops. Account info, and inside this div, well, I just want a p tag. Oops. that says welcome account username. And then maybe let's have an image as well. So I'm just going to do image class name avatar, because we're going to have to style it up. And the source of the image is going to be the account avatar URL. Okay. Oops, this needs to be curly braces. Okay. So this is looking good. Let's see what that looks like. Let's go back to the main page. Okay, so there we are. Let's get to style this up a lot smaller than it is now. So once again, I'm just going to get my CSS file. Let's get the account info. I'm just going to use display flex on it. Let's also give it a height of 50%, and the avatar itself, well, I want the avatar to say be 50 pixels width and height also 50 pixels, and then border radius 50%, and I think that should be fine. Let's maybe space it out a bit as well, so I'm going to give it a margin the left of 10 pixels. Border radius. Okay, so that's looking good. And now let's actually just space this out in between. So what is that in? That is in a nav bar. So let's find the nav bar. And I'm going to do justify content space between. Wonderful. And of course that could do with some more styling, but we're going to leave that because we have one more thing to do before doing the refactoring, the tidying up, and the final pieces of styling, and that is do a mutation. So to make a mutation, I'm just going to shut all this down because we're going to be doing this in the slug page. So to make a mutation, I actually need to make this in the API. I'm going to create a new JavaScript file, and I'm going to call it change to scene, just like that. And this is how we would do this. So here is the syntax, export default async. And then I'm going to have to pass through a body and a response. If you're used to doing, serverless functions, this is kind of similar. So there we go. Here we are. And then I'm also going to import the GraphQL client from GraphQL quest, because we're going to need it. Okay, so once again we're going to make a new GraphQL client, and I'm going to pass through the endpoint again, so the URL, so process env endpoint. So just like we were doing before, URL and then the token, so the headers with the token, and then process env GraphCMS token. Okay, so that we can communicate with our database. And now we're going to have to do this. So wait, once again, I'm just getting this from the GraphQL request documentation. If you want to check it out, GraphCMS request. And the request I need to make is the mutation. So the mutation that I need to do to edit let's make a new thing. So the mutation that I need to do is looks like this. So I'm going to go into the mutations, okay, because we just use the documentation for this. So mutation, and what I'm doing is overriding one of the video, I guess, elements that I have, one of the video objects, to have seen from false or null to true. So all I'm going to do is essentially use update video. Which video? So I'm going to use where, and I'm going to do it by slug. So if I do JAWS, oops. Okay, so if I do JAWS, and the data that I want to pass through is seen true. And then I'm just going to return the ID and the scene. Okay, and the title. Okay, so if I do that, ta-da, we've changed the video to have seen as true. I can change it back to false if I want. Cool. But of course, we just need to see it to true because you can't unsee something. So this is all that matters. I'm going to take that. I'm just going to put it in here. So there's a mutation, but of course we need to pass through the slug. So I'm just going to, this is how you would do it. And I'm also going to get the slug, which is the body slug. And then I'm going to replace it in here with the slug. So I'm just going to pass through the variable. So slug is going to be a string. And I'm just going to replace it here with slug. So now whatever I pass through in here, okay, will be changed. So that is looking good. I'm just going to do a 201. It's going to return with the JSON slug body slug. Okay, so this is looking good. GraphCMS, we didn't define GraphCMS. Oh yes, const GraphCMS equals, so that's GraphCMS. Okay. Okay, and now we just need to write mutation to publish the video. So it's just the same as above, it's just a different mutation. So I'm going to write await GraphCMS request mutation publish video, which is the mutation that we need. And I'm going to pass to a slug, as we're going to find the video by its slug so we can publish it. Okay, so I'm defining this, I'm saying the slug is a string, and then I'm just going to write the mutation that I need to do. I already know it because I have done this before. So publish video. I will show you where I found this mutation though, so don't worry. Publish video, and I'm just going to put where slug, and this is going to be the slug that we pass through from the body. So just like above from the body. And then I'm going to say to publish. And just to check this has worked, I'm going to return the, so just in between here, I'm going to return the slug. Okay, so that is really it. Once again, we need to pass through the variable slug. So we're going to take it from the body and pass it through as a variable. And I'm going to say that the slug we pass through from the body, I'm going to assign this to slug so I can use it in the mutation. Okay, so this is looking good. Don't forget the comma. Great. Great, so that is the mutation to publish the video. Okay, and this is where I got it from. So just in here under mutations, I'm just going to search for it. There we go. That's it. Okay, wonderful. Great, so we've got the change scene. Now let's get to using it in here. So let's write a function for this. I'm just going to do it above here. So const change to scene async. It's going to be an async function, and whatever slug I pass through is the one that we're going to send to the mutation. Okay, so I'm going to use await fetch for this, and I'm just going to pass through the URL that goes to my API change to scene. So make sure you spelled it exactly the way that you spelled it here, change to scene. The method is going to be a post, and headers, well, we're going to have to say it's content type application JSON, making sure just to keep everything a bit more consistent. Okay, and then of course we need to also pass through the body JSON stringify and the slug. Okay, so we've written the function that essentially will use our mutation, and then on click, so when we click the play button, well, we're just going to change to scene, and we're going to pass through the video slug. Great. So now that should work. Let's check it out. Okay, so at the moment we have 4 films which are unseen and recommended for me. If I click on one of them, however, and I click play, so there we go, we're watching Moana, watching Moana. It's a great film, love Moana. Whoa. And now let's go back to the home page. Ta-da! Okay, so now we can only see 3 films in the recommended. This is because we changed the scene from false or null to true. Okay, so there's only 3 films in here now. This wouldn't work if we didn't publish the video, just an FYI. That's why we need to publish the video. And now if we want to change this back, I'm just going to do this in the GraphCMS. So the playground, I'm going to once again just grab the mutation that we wrote before, and then I'm going to change this to scene false. Okay, just because I want all 4 to return back. But hopefully you understand how this works now. If I played the video on any one of these cards again, it would change scene to true again. Okay, so hopefully that explains that. Let's carry on with some styling. So all I'm going to do is actually get a div. Let's make some divs. And I'm going to actually make a div and give it the class name of franchise, because I want to then link to other sections in here, so on this page. So class name franchise, and then I'm going to give this the ID of Disney, so we can style it up as we need. And then let's actually wrap this up in something, so we can use an A tag. Just going to grab this, stick that in here, and use the href in order to go to Disney. Okay, so now I'm going to give this the ID of Disney. ID equals Disney. So then if you click on that, it will take us to that genre. And I'm going to do the same. So we've got one for Disney. I need 5, 2, 3, 4, oops, 4, 5. We've got Disney. Let's have Pixar. Let's have Star Wars. Let's have Nat Geo. And let's have Marvel. Oh, once again, Pixar, Star Wars, Nat Geo, Marvel. And let's give some IDs. So ID Nat Geo, ID Marvel. ID Pixar, and ID Star Horse. It's great. So that should link to those things whenever we click on it. And of course, let's actually style it up. So I'm going to show you how to make a little franchise one. So .franchise. Let's give it a width of 20%, a height of 100 pixels, a background color of gray. Is that 80, 80, 80? 80, 80, 80. Margin 5 pixels. Border radius 10 pixels. Okay. And then in here, what does that belong to? Video feed. Video feed display flex. I'm actually just going to change these to links just to make it more friendly. And then import link. Import link from next link. Okay, so that is actually going to be part of a video feed, like so. Now let's get the class name of section. And I'm just going to go back here and actually delete this. I don't think we need it. Okay, there we go. Wonderful. So this is looking a lot better. One last thing to do, and that's sort this out and then maybe make some images for these. So I'm just going to go back in here. Get the nav bar. I'm going to make a div here called logo wrapper. Stick that in there. Logo wrapper, giving it a padding of 10 pixels and 30 pixels. So 10 from the top and 30 from the side. Great. And finally the nav bar itself. And I'm just going to give it a padding top of 30 pixels. Account info, margin, top 10 pixels. 20 pixels. Margin 20 pixels. Okay. So all I'm going to do is just drag in some image that I'm going to use, just drag them in like we did before. So here they are, just some logos, just going to get rid of this. And all I'm going to do is use the image from next image and then the source and pass through the image, okay, which we're going to import into this file. So again, just like we did before. So let's import the image, import image from next image. Okay. Great. And I'm just going to get rid of these semicolons. Great. Now we need to import the logo. So let's do Disney first. Import Disney logo from, and then the path to where I store the PNG file. So public Disney button. Okay, this actually doesn't need to be in curly braces. It's the only thing in there that we need. And then I'm going to do it for all of them. So Marvel button, then we have Nat Geo button, then we have, what else? Pixar. This is actually just, this is just Pixar PNG, that's what we saved it as. And then let's also have Star Wars. So Star Wars logo, okay? Just like that. And we save this file as Star Wars button PNG. Great, so they're imported. Now let's use them. So the image, this actually needs to be in between the two divs, sorry. So the image for that should go here. And wonderful. Okay, this is looking good. Let's carry on. So we've got one logo in, let's do the others. Before we move on though, the div that we are currently in, the height is fixed. I don't want that, so I'm just going to get rid of that from here. So I'm going to go here and enfranchise because that is the class name that the div has. I'm just going to delete the height. And great. Okay, so we have that done. Let's do the next one. In between these two divs, I'm going to put in a logo in between here as well and in between here. And what should we call this? Well, that's Marvel logo. And now we just need to pass through the Marvel logo, pass through the Nat Geo logo, the Star Wars logo, and the Pixar logo. Great. And I'm just going to format, so reformat the code. I can do so super easily in WebStorm. I can actually just reformat the whole project by clicking here and then going under the tab code, reformat code. Great. And then my whole project has been reformatted. It also tells me spelling mistakes, so that's handy. Thank you very much. Geographic. And what else can we do? Sometimes I feel like I put the class name in curly braces and I don't want that. I just want the class name to be a string. So let's find where I did that, because I definitely did somewhere. There, okay. So I like to keep class names like this, but again, it's just my preference. It is totally up to you. So great, this is looking good. Okay, just a final look. Wonderful. And delete any console logs as well. So let's just get rid of this console log here. Great. Okay. Okay, and finally, let's do some final styling. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this. I mean, it's essentially all fine. I'm just doing some final touches. So, and that's it. Thank you so much for following on to this tutorial. Please go ahead and take this project, make it your own, improve on it, really take it to the max. I can't wait to see what you build with it, and I'm really excited to see the results. So thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you soon.